Hi students, welcome back. Hope all of you are safe. In the previous class, which revolution you learned? Yes, correct, Chinese Revolution. Today, we will learn a new chapter from history. Name of the chapter, World in the 20th Century. Can you tell how many years is a century? Yes, the century is a time period of 100 years. Can you tell the time period of 20th century? Yes, it is from 1901 to 2000. In this chapter, we will discuss about the major events happened in the 20th century. Let's move to the chapter. First, from capitalism to imperialism. In the lower classes, we have discussed about Industrial Revolution that began in the 18th century. It gradually spread from England to other countries of Europe. Capitalists invested in factories and production was increased. This increased their profit. The economic system in which production and distribution are controlled by the capitalist with the aim to increase profit is known as capitalism. The advent of large-scale industry enhanced capital investment. Many nations produced more than they needed and more than they could accommodate in their domestic markets. This overproduction forced them to search for markets. The search for markets by the industrialized countries in Europe led to competition among them. The Europeans had already established trade relations with Asian, African, and Latin American nations. Using political power and military forces, the European countries economically exploited these nations. Later, they became the colonies of the European countries. This process is called colonization. Trade unions were formed to protest against capitalist exploitation. Constant agitations of trade unions and the resultant increase in their wages diminished the profit of the capitalists. European countries had considered the colonies as the source of raw materials and the market for their industrial products. Later on, colonial masters started to invest capital in the colonies. Let's find the factors: cheap labor, availability of raw materials, low cost involved in manufacturing and selling goods in colonies. The distinctive phase of flow of finance capital to colonies is known as imperialism. Imposing a nation's political, economic, and cultural dominance on another nation is a fundamental feature of imperialism. Colonialists impose their dominance using legal system, administrative measures, military force, etc. How did imperialism affect the colonies? Traditional economic system of the colonies was destroyed. Administrative and judicial systems were replaced. People in colonies were forced to cultivate cash crops in lieu of traditional food crops. Poverty and unemployment increased. Natural resources were widely exploited. Indigenous arts, literature, language, culture, and education system were destroyed. Competition and conflicts among imperialist nations for colonies and markets led to the outbreak of wars. Let's conclude our topic. First, capitalism. The economic system in which production and distribution are controlled by capitalists with the aim to increase profit is known as capitalism. Next, imperialism. The distinctive phase of flow of finance to capital is known as imperialism. Next, how did imperialism affect the colonies? Traditional economic system of the colonies was destroyed. Administrative and judicial systems were replaced. People in colonies were forced to cultivate cash crops in lieu of traditional food crops. Poverty and unemployment increased. Natural resources were widely exploited. Indigenous arts, literature, language, culture and education system were destroyed. These are the main points in today's class. Hope all of you understood today's topic. Thank you.